How's it going, everyone? Welcome to this tutorial. In this video I'm going to show you how I painted the base, and this is a cork base that I did for my Terminator Lord. And I'm going to start by taking the base and some cork. Cork can be found in any office supply store, and it's not that cheap, but it's a very good tool for basing. So I broke up some pieces and until I found a shape that I was happy with, and this is the shape that I'm going to use for this base. And what I did is just glue it in with some super glue in the desired area on the base, like so. Once that's done, I'm going to use the basing kit from Citadel to get some slate rocks to put on the base. You can use any rocks that you want, but these are cut in such a way that they look like they're embedded on the earth instead of just laying around. So I just pick a random rock around in this little bin here, and I glued a couple of big rocks in different spots of the base. Super glue is a little bit more important than using like regular white glue, because these are actual rocks and they're not going to stay in there very easily. They can just be knocked off if it's only glued by regular white glue. And I used a little bit of medium grade rocks to complement the big rock with them. Once that's done, I'm going to go ahead and use the regular white glue, and with this I'm going to glue in all of my fine sand. The fine sand I got is from a Michael store, that's a hobby store. This is the sand that you use to put on plants. It's a very fine grade sand mixed in with a little bit of different sands that I collected and blending them in. But mostly you want the fine sand to go around the other rocks, and so I'm using an old brush and some glue to glue them down. Here I'm just moving very quickly around this part of the base, and I'm just gonna dunk it inside of the sand once I'm ready. You could also sprinkle it. This little container was a little bit too small for it to fit. I have a bigger jug of sand, but that didn't fit on the display, so I used a little container to show you, and this is how it should look. Once that dried, I used black primer to prime the base. I don't usually prime bases. This time I decided to use it because it was easy. And I'm going to paint the rocks with black again, just to make sure that they're completely black and there's no cork showing anymore. I don't usually prime the bases, as I said. I usually just paint over the sand as it is, and I've never had problems with that. But I think priming is gonna help the paint adhere even more easily onto the sand and rocks. And this is a special base for a character, so that's fine. And I'm just watering down the color a little bit more than usual so that it gets into the cracks and crevices of the cork in here, and make sure to cover the whole area. Once that's done, I'm going to use dryad bark. This color I'm going to use it to paint all of the sand. This is the way I base my Corn Demon King army, so it's going to use these sort of colors. I decided to go for a very dark earth with a little bit of yellow and bone to highlight, so this is the colors that I'm using. I'm going to start with dryad bark, carefully painting around the sand so that I don't paint over the black. You don't have to be super neat on these steps. The rocks will look good even if you're a little bit sloppy, so don't worry about it too much, but try to paint all of the sand with this color. Once that's done and dry, I'm going to use Balor Brown. This is a very yellowy brown, and this is the color I use for dry brushing all of my bases. I'm going to use a small dry brush. My dry brush is kind of old and bad, but any dry brush could work. So just try to dry brush all of the places around the base, trying to not dry brush the cork or the rocks. But if you actually dry brush on the rocks, it doesn't matter, just leave it as it is. The different colored dry brush will make it look a little bit more realistic, but I didn't intentionally do it. If you do it, that's fine. Different colors will make the rocks stand out because they're going to be different. Once that dry brush is done, I'm going to go ahead and use Tyrant Skull. This is very similar to Shafty Bone or Screaming Skull. You can use either of those colors. I would go for Screaming Skull if you would prefer. But this is a very light dry brush. This is going to be a little bit more careful and more selective around where I dry brush. This is only on very edges and selected places to make them stand out. Don't dry brush around the whole base because you'll lose the previous dry brush. So just try to use it on places that you would like to enhance the brightness, and just keep it on the dirt. Once that's done, I'm going to move on to Dawnstone, and I'm going to switch to my large dry brush because it's easier and faster. This color, I'm going to dry brush it all over the black rocks. Make sure to get rid of most of the paint off of your brush in a piece of paper towel and just dry brush it around. Don't try to have a lot of paint of the brush because you're going to smear it over and it's going to look like brush marks, and you don't want that. You want it to look as a dry brush and as dry as a brush as you can use without actually not having any paint on the brush. As close as you can get the brush as almost completely dry, it's fine, and just pick up the edges and make the rock look dry brush like this. Once that's done, I'm going to go ahead and use Adsministratum Gray and give it a second dry brush. I'm still using the large dry brush, but this time I'm just going to concentrate on the edges of the rock or debris or whatever this is. And this is keeping it very selective, just trying to pick the sharpest edges of the rock and almost all of the edges, and leaving the center alone. And really bringing out those very sharp highlights. Once that's finished, you can leave it like that, but I'm going to use some coarse turf, dark green from Woodland Scenics. I have a couple of them laying around in here that I can use on different bases. This is one of the ones that I like the most, and this one has to be applied with super glue. Just dab a little bit of super glue and then add a little clump of this material. You can push it down to make sure that it's very well secured, but just make sure that it fits, and then you can trim it over if you want. But I think you need super glue instead of white glue, because white glue is not gonna really grab it as strong as this one and as quickly. So you need a very good grip on the material to make it stay onto the base. I've tried white glue, I didn't like it, so I'm doing it with super glue instead. To finish it off, I'm going to use Battlefield's field grass from Army Painter. You can use any color grass that you like. This is a very bright green grass. It almost looks yellow. On the camera it looks very bright, but it's not as bright in real life. So I'm going to use this in little patches here and there just to give a little different colored accent on the base. You can use however many colors you like. I used 2 different grass types to make it look more a little bit different and random. Here I'm using white glue with my old brush, and I'm going to sprinkle the grass on top, and that's pretty much it. So the base is finished. I just need to pin my model on top of it. So what I want to do is to have it pinned like this, both feet on the model as perpendicular as possible, so that they bore through the cork and they stand on their own. If they're facing different ways, you won't be able to pin it down. So I'm using this little set of pliers. This is like electrical pliers. Don't use your plastic ones to cut pins, because I think they dull down the blades if they're made for plastics. So I just cut it, just making sure it's not more than the total thickness of the base, so that it sticks. Now here I'm using a little bit of poster tack, the thing I use to secure my models to the paint pot. This, I'm going to use it as a guide for me to find the holes that I need to drill to pin the model. This is going to give me 2 impressions on the putty, and this is going to be the guide for me to drill the holes and stick the model. So here it is. This is the way my Corn Demon King army is based, and this is how it looks. I think the bright green really contrasts with the reds, and that's my reasoning behind it. And also that like woodland bases blend more with a lot more tables than you think, because most tables are probably gonna be based on wood and medieval ages and stuff like that. So that was my reasoning behind it, and this is the way I based my models. I hope you like it, and I hope you like, comment, and subscribe if you like this tutorial. If you would like to see more things like that, leave me comments to let me know, and I hope to see you on the next video. Thank you very much for watching. You stayed. Great. Thank you very much for watching my video, and if you would like to further support my channel, you can become my Patreon on Patreon. You can pledge as little as $1 a month, and you are helping me create more and better content. If you can't, that's fine, because you're helping my channel a lot just for watching and sharing, but you can read all of the details if you follow the link in the description below. I hope you can spare $1 to make this hobby of mine a job for which I can get paid. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you on the next video.